Hi, this is Simin. I would like to talk about an interesting trendy concept in gaming industry called metagame. This idea may be new to a lot of people. I'm going to cover what is with some example and its influence in the industry. Hope you enjoy it. Firstly, of course, we need to know what is metagame. To understand this, the meaning of meta is the key. The prefix meta derived from Greek, and it means behind or beyond. We know metaphysics, and we may have heard about metadata and metafiction. Metagame is largely influenced by metafiction. Metafiction is fiction work, self-consciously draws attention to being a work of imagination rather than a work of nonfiction, and about the process by which fiction makes the other statements. Metagame follows the suit, as we have learned in class. Video game these days emphasize immersions, but metagame goes the other way around. The players know that it's just a game, and all the things are unreal. Therefore, it is also called game behind game and a game about game making. To better understand this, think of a box. Every game can be reviewed as a box. The player incarnate in it. They spend time and energy in it and experience it. Meta is an element or technique used in the game that make you realize the ec- ec- existence of the box and the boundary between the game and the real life. To put it simpler, metagame means to use the game as a form to explain the game, the game making as well as the player. Through metagame, the player got to change the point of review. The Stanley Parable is a good example. The narrative prevails the game, telling the player to make certain choice and the result. The feeling of under control in the game is the thing. Now, let's look at the basic type of metagame. Originally, metagame is an strategy, action, or myth-using game which transcends and prescribed rule set. Use extreme factor of affect the game or goes beyond the sports limit or environmental set by the game. In simple terms, it is the use of out-of-game information or resource to affect one in-game decision. The players with metagaming strategy are able to see through the outset of the game and break through the established rules and discover the possibility of a game. Also, game may be initially designed to serve for the metal elements. Here is an example in role-playing games. Metagaming means to tell the player some information about another player or something that said player's character should not know about. Usually the player is in a higher dimension than the character, but in the meta context, they are in insect. Insect. The character knows that the player is playing him. In a higher level, metagaming fulfill or dominate the storytelling of a game. The concept of meta becomes denser in such games from the perspective of the game maker. Playing such game helps the players to reflect one of meaning of the game as a medium. Let's see more metagame next. The magic circle is one of the most famous basically. The game primarily take place in a sandbox environment but contain a mixture of puzzle solving, indirect combat and exploration. In the first round, the player may experience a hardly complete RPG game with shooty picture. Once the player sessions is officially completed, the player will enter a promotion where the system make contact with a player and teaches him how to manipulate the game words in order to neither complete or the least escape the game words. The player is asked to finish the gaming making. The beginner guide is also an impressive work with this regard. It is an interactive storytelling video game narrated by game maker Weird. It is take the user through a number of incomplete and abstract game creation made by a developer named Coda. Weirden challenges the player to try to come to understand the type of person Coda is from exploring this escape in the first person perspective. With the narrative, the player discovered that Weirden had tried to force meaning onto Coda's game, causing them to end their relationship. The player got to see the game making process. Metagames allowed the player to return to his real life and from the incarnation in the game, pulling him out of the box. Furthermore, the players can look at the box from the perspective of the maker. Then the player will realize that it is the game of operating rather than operated. The season sense of agency will be minimized in the context. The gaming industry has entered entered a stage that literature did in the 20th century. In the past decade, the technical parts of mainstream games keep breaking through, but the form of storing don't. Video game code of innovation in innovation, thus giving rise to metal. Upon its birth, the metal game is like a revolution, a new possibility in the frontier of the industry. The player becomes the objective, not the subject of gaming playing. Sometimes the characters manipulate the player instead, which is what happened in the Gun game, the love between you, her, and her. Metagame is trending in the recent year. Also, there is a tendency of stereotypical works springing up. Apart from the excellent works, many are just following or even copying the design. It is popular in the independent game circle, a majority one, but many are homogeneous as what await magic fiction and the metal play in the history. Metal aims at the incarnation of the player and demonstrate and deconstruct the game playing experience. The players are compelled to realize the bugs, look at the loop loopholes in the box, or even jump out of the box. But metagame is doomed to be a niche because reflection, self-examination are exhausting. I'd say if playing games is an adventure, meta is like the gate to hidden game version or gaming strategy. If there aren't rich stuff behind the game, it won't attract people. At last, not for a long time. The content of game is always the main course, with metal being the seasoning. That's all. Thank you for listening.